Okay, we're live on StreamYard, and YouTube has just started too. So there we go. Nobody in the chat yet, so just me and you right now. To the lurkers show up and everybody else. So yeah, I'm trying to think. It's been a good day today. Been up to 60 degrees here today. Sunny, nice, but we got a meant to be warmer tomorrow, but we got a hell of a storm coming. In the next couple of days. So more thunderstorm, hail, possible chance of tornadoes. Well, when you live in this part of the country, that's what you got to expect. If you don't want that to happen, don't live here. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, we had snow today.
Oh yeah?
Yep. Yeah, not thrilled. So I
Did
was
you get much?
looking at the temperature was saying like 39, and I'm looking out the window and it's just snowing like crazy. I'm like, what the heck? Like, yeah, New York. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't miss those days from being up in New England. I tell you. I
Yeah.
mean, we still get cold mornings. It's in the low 30s when I wake up, but it warms up into the 60s most of the time this time of year. So it's,
Lucky you.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. I know. There was there's something I was going to mention to you, and I can't remember what in the hell it was, but it wasn't that important, I guess. Otherwise, I would have remembered, you know. So
I'd like to think so.
I I said nobody's showing up in the chat yet. And I'm very disappointed. Let me check. I'll make sure. It says I'm public, so it's good that end. Make sure I'm that on YouTube as well. Yeah, so everything's good on my end. So I guess nobody likes me anymore. I guess I don't know.
Who knows? Sometimes it takes a minute.
Yeah, it does.
The whole thing pop up, and then for the notification, and so who knows?
Yeah, hello there, Gun Hobo's in. He's lurking. Thank you, Gun Hobo. Appreciate it. I was starting to feel like I was starting to get a complex that nobody liked me anymore. Yeah. So we got somebody in the chat anyway. Yeah, so I've got a couple of topics. I was hoping to get more people. Let me have a look, see. Oh yeah, here's a question for you. I don't know if I mentioned this before. I've mentioned this before, but I want an answer, yes or no. Right? I've got that P-64, that Polish P-64. It looks like a James Bond gun Beretta. PPQ. Is that what he had, or PPK? Can't remember what he had in the old movie.
But I know one of them was a Walter PPK.
Was there a Walter PPK? That's what it looks like. Sorry, it looks like a Walter PPK. It's Polish made. They claim it's their own design. Okay, but where I'm going with it comes with I got the brand new leather case. That it was a military firearm. But what I'm saying is I've been here, 6 years now? And I ain't shot the thing since I've been there. The only thing I ever done with it is I've cleaned it a couple of times. I clean them about every 2 years. Should I goddamn take it to the gun store and sell it?
How much do you think you'd get for it?
A couple of $100 at the most. I only paid about $250 for it to start with.
I'd say no. I wouldn't sell it. I don't know, the situation, if you're about to go start working the corner for dinner or what's going on.
No. I
If
just
getting anxious and want some money to play with, I wouldn't sell it. Personally.
Okay.
I mean, it's not something you can do a lot with at this point, and being that it does have some historical, relevance to it.
Yeah.
In the future, it could be worth more. Maybe not for you, maybe for your son, maybe for your grandkid. But it's wouldn't hurt to keep around. Yeah, if you were in a serious jam and $200 was really gonna, do something for you, then that could be different.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Oh, Tony York. What is it again? It's called a P-64. It's a Polish military gun made in 1975. It looks like a Walter PPK that James Bond used to have. It looks like identical to it, but the Polish claimed it's their own design. But I was saying I ain't shot it in 6 years. I was saying, should I sell it? It was my question. Anyway, we got some people in the chat now. They're coming in. You're right. It just took them a little while to get to me. So let me introduce my panelist. Is New York Outcast. How you doing?
Doing all right. I'm alive, kicking, dodging the potholes, dodging the landmines. Doing okay.
Okay, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Let's see. Let's see who's in the chat. First in the room tonight was Gun Hobo 62. Then Jacob S. Then Tony York, Vanessa, Raphael. So we're starting to come in. There we go. Tony asked me what I was talking about selling. Tony says, hell, I would be interested perhaps. Yeah, my 5-week code is finally left for this. I said, you sure, was that cold or was it some form of COVID? I don't know.
Well, congratulations, Vanessa.
Yeah, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, feeling bad sucks. Like, especially sick. That just sucks.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, so you, back to what we're saying, that Tony said he might be interested, but you wouldn't sell it, New York Outcast.
I personally wouldn't. I mean, it's not like you're going to be able to pay your rent with it or something. So
no, you're just selling it because it's sitting there, and you got. I mean, not you personally, but other people say if you ain't shot it in a couple of years, get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that line of thinking, but if you're going to replace it with something to shoot, but what are you going to buy for $200 that you're going to go shoot all the time?
Well, I'm not. I would more than likely spend it on primers and shit, stuff like that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's up. It's up to you. It's your property.
I don't want to. Deep down, I don't want to sell it. I never wanted to sell the other two, but I needed it to start to finance my my 308 build.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a reason why I did the last ones. I didn't want to do it, but I did. Yeah. And so, to me, if you're sort of like, to me, it's a gun. I know they're not valuable per se, but to me, it's my gun collection, and the collection is meant to be collected.
I mean, if you could sell it to Tony for, not that we're selling anything, YouTube, but I'm just making an example here, but for more than you paid for it for some reason.
Yeah.
Then sure. But if you're going to go down there and take a loss at the local gun store, I don't see the point. Yeah.
No. I agree with you. I'm going to keep it. But I thought I asked. It was a question I wrote down here to start the conversation off with.
Yeah. I mean, Tony, he's a big shot. He's got one of them sugar mamas, I believe, and he might just want to have a gun that you own.
Yeah.
So he could say it was, he might say, you autograph something with it, and he'd give you $30 more than he paid. I don't know. I don't know. Tony's, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
fortune.
It shoots, the not the like a 9mm was a 9x19 that shoots 9x18. So it's an odd size cartridge that it shoots to, but.
Yep. But, if you were in a hurry and just grabbed a box in the store and got the wrong one, now you got a gun for it.
So anyway, no, I'm going to keep it. Part of my collection. I don't want my collection to go down anymore if I can help it. Yeah.
Going to tease Tony like that?
I know.
Not even going to let him make a hypothetical offer.
Yeah. So yeah, but Tony's a man of means too. Owns property up there where he's at in Illinois. Owns property down in Missouri. Drives big old Tahoes. I think that's what he.
Got sugar mama.
Yeah, he's got a big sugar mama. The covering all this. Why he sits out in the garage, reloading and shooting. Plus, he only shoots 44 Magnums too. So what? I mean, why does he want a P64 for?
You never know. I mean, maybe he's got a little 007 side to him, and likes to throw a suit on once in a while, and figured it would go along with it. I don't know.
Oh, unless he was going to give the P64 to his sugar mama to have as a, small gun she'd carry in her purse type thing,
Maybe it's the military background with it.
Yeah. Tony says I don't own a suit. I don't either, to be quite honest with you. The last one I had finally saw it hung up in my wardrobe so long it finally just, I don't know, just deteriorated because it had never been worn for years. Anyway, here's my next big question. This one's kind of morbid, but I'll get it in there and out of the way. We've talked about this before, and what makes me bring this up? You remember, was it you that mentioned it, that, stuff like I wanted, where I said, just cremate me and throw me, just spread my ashes down on the farm or in Mitchell Creek or whatever. Somebody said you should have that written down somewhere just in case.
Probably was. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the other day I actually sat down here one afternoon. I think it was Sunday afternoon. I was sitting here and I wrote a list out, of what guns I own and stuff like that, and other things like my my bank accounts and all that kind of stuff, and that kind of stuff. And I basically what I did was it was sort of and I wrote on there what I wanted to happen. It's not a will or anything, but it's just something in case something happens to me. If somebody wants to fight it, will say, well, Rick did want this,
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I sent a copy to my oldest son.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, like say something does happen to me, how is it going to get into my computer?
Yep. No, it's not a bad idea.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. You might. I mean, I'm not sure of how things work in your state, but the easiest first step would be getting it notarized. You should be able to get it notarized for free. You go down to usually any bank, or maybe you have a specific notary in your area. I know PA's got like notaries you got to go to. New York, you can go to any bank and they'll do it for you for free. So, but
okay, I need to look into that.
Yeah, it should be free or damn near free. And basically, it's just like a certification. They put a stamp on it. There's a crest and everything.
It makes it official.
Right, makes it legitimate. Now, in some cases, that holds the weight of law, but not everywhere. But it's better than nothing. Like in New York State, if you had at least that, you can contest the state with it, and more than likely, unless you're opposed by overwhelming evidence somehow, then you'll probably be okay. But in this state, what they like you to do, the best, easiest, safest path is to have an attorney draw one up. So
I know that, but I was just doing this as something just in case. You know what I'm saying? I do plan on doing something
good to have, because maybe in some cases you don't need all that, honestly, but it depends. If there's a bunch of family members fighting over stuff, maybe your son's the last to find out, and your wife, for example, or whatever, or whoever starts clearing your stuff out, you know what I mean? So at least
or my cousins and stuff like that,
right? Anything like that. So or the troubled family member that you wouldn't want to have firearms is the first one at your door, things like that. Make claims.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, I was sitting. What made me do it was, first off, it caught my eye. I can't remember what day it was. Was it Friday or Saturday that headline news? George Foreman died. What was he? 76 or 74, somewhere around there. And I'm thinking, I'm 68. That ain't that far off. That's what made me think about that.
It really does. I mean, it does matter. It does factor. But, honestly, I've known a lot of people that have died for strange reasons young. I've also died for,
I mean, I don't plan on,
I guess, but
I don't plan on going anytime soon.
Yeah, that's just it. Like, you never really know. That's the whole so that's the weird part about it. Tomorrow, not guaranteed.
Well, I mean, young and healthy. Realistic. I know I've got fewer days to come than I've gone through. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, if you're 95 and you pass away, nobody's really shocked.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. So I think it's something that it's something that everybody should do. I mean, I was told this when I was young, but you never get around to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. So when it comes to like accounts and online stuff and PayPal and all this crap, my dad did kind of what you did, where he basically gave me all the information in an envelope and told me, don't open it till I die, basically. That type of deal. So and obviously he got a will as well, which was helpful in this state. So but it was at least gave me access to stuff that I didn't even know about. So I wouldn't have known about, and who knows, so
yeah. You're I even put one line on there. I said, be honest with you, if instead of costing a fortune, I said, if the state gives me a pauper's burial, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about me, type thing. But we'll see. You're right, Tony. We are on the downhill side of life.
Yeah. a lot of places, depending on finance, what you want to do, if you don't have a preference, whatever, don't know how you feel about it because it's one of them. People are either for it or against it usually, but if you're willing to donate your body to science, they do cremation and stuff for free. So everything will be, transport, all that type of stuff. Everything's done for free.
Oh, after they finish with you, they cremate you and,
Correct. Yeah, and then they'll send you back, and earn thing and whatnot with paperwork and stuff.
That's not a bad idea.
So it's something to consider. So, because obviously, it's now this might freak you out a little bit because, people probably don't know this aspect, but most people think medical, and in most cases it is medical, but I will state, I mean, it may be a little different than you think. Sometimes it's donations, sometimes it's seeing what happens to a body in certain situations. Sometimes things are done to a body to see what actually happens to it. I won't get into detail, but basically, so it's not always like the prettiest picture in your mind.
Yeah.
People are learning from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I'm not saying they would do it, but I've seen them do that with animals.
Okay.
See how long it takes them to actually, go back into the earth type thing. By eating by, everything till there's nothing left of them. How long does it take?
Right.
Yeah.
There's farms. There's medical schools. There's a lot of different things where things. So, and they don't tell you, what's going.
What's going to happen to you?
Going to know, is it a medical student or were you set in a field somewhere and experimented with? Nobody's going to say anything.
But they're willing to come and cover all the costs, though.
Yeah, they'll cover everything, transport, cremation, and all that type of stuff. So,
and to hand your ashes back to whoever.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if things are as crazy as some people believe, you could become Soylent Green, but sure. I don't think we've gotten far. But
what was the name of that movie? Something green, where everybody was turning these little green things and everybody ate them.
Yeah,
you became food
down the street and scooping people up, and
yeah.
George Orwell.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is getting a bit
coming true. I always want to say true speak, but that's not what it's called.
No.
It's a thing in the book or movie, whatever. Basically, horrible language now, or the media's language now, we'll say.
Yeah, you got a good point there, but I don't know, getting more, but I think I'm going to change topics.
Yeah, people don't like this topic. They're scared, but we run it, folks. We can't outrun it, so you might as well be prepared and not put your loved ones in more of a stressful situation and get your shit together, because we don't know.
Yeah, well, you're right. But I'm getting off of that topic. It's depressing. This one's depressing too. But my thing here is, I was reading an article. We talked about this so many times, it's unreal, about non-violent felons getting their gun rights back, or any felon really. If you've done your time, you should get your things back. And if you don't think you can't trust him, then don't let him out of jail, is the way I look at it. Maybe that's maybe that's cruel and unusual punishment. I don't know. But where I'm going with this is, did you see that? I was reading an article. There has been actually in the law books, in chapter 18, I think it is, that it actually states that you can petition the government to get your gun rights back. And it fell under the ATF to do it. You filled out a form and you sent it into the ATF, and they would make that determination. But for the last 30 odd years, when when the government does their budget every year and they donate out billions of dollars to each agency for their stuff, in the small print, it said none of our money can be used for that. So the ATF has never granted anybody's rights back for the last 30 odd years because they can't use their money to do it. Well, this is where I'm going with this, is Pam Bondi, our new attorney general, who I still don't trust, for the Second Amendment. She claims that she's pulling it from the ATF and bringing it back to the Department of Justice to take care of that situation, to be able to, search each request to see whether to grant it or not. I mean, my personal I would love that if it was true, but I got a feeling it's just all talk and no action. Have you heard or seen anything about it?
No, I haven't been paying attention to really any of the recent stuff, which I'm guilty of, I guess you can say. But I will state that I know people have gotten it reversed. G23 is one of them. He did a little segment on his channel of what he had to go through. He had to spend a bit of money. I mean, off the top of my head, I think it was 15 grand or 5 grand. I don't know. It was thousands of dollars. And he had a lawyer connection to a lawyer where he got a deal as well. So I don't know what the hell it would cost the average person without a connection. But apparently it was a drawn out process that costs a bunch of money. I think you have to pay for them to do everything if you want to do it or whatever.
I mean, as I was saying, I'm just going through the basic. You fill out a form, you might have to send a check along with it too. You know what I'm saying? To get it done. But to
him, it's different basically in every state, and he was doing a series on it. But from my understanding, people didn't really. It didn't turn out being very popular, so he didn't get a lot of views on it or whatnot. So he stopped the series before completing all the states. But have a few states out there where he goes through the process. Granted, I will state he's done it himself personally in one state, and I would argue this fact with him that just because you read something online doesn't necessarily mean that's the way it always goes down. So
true.
You get there and they say you need this or you need that, and they didn't have that online or it's changed. So the other states that he covered, I would state that's probably a good guideline, but I would definitely look into it yourself.
Yeah.
Just say, because, things change. Even here with pistol permits, I got to go back up and talk to them to verify, what's changed with the process, because it seems like every couple months one thing flips here or there or some kind of crap. So to be on top of giving out good advice, you got to stay current with your local offices, whatever situation may be. So especially if you're in a state like mine, because again, things are banned one week and then they're fine again next week, and then they overturn it and you can't have it, and you can and you can't and you can, and you can do this but you can't do that. So you really got to stay on top of the stuff.
They say, Shady Hill Homestead and Tactical FUD has joined us in the chat there. I get you see the court case today for the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court went 7-2 in favor of the ATF. Their receivers and basically, what the left call them ghost guns rule. right? The where they changed the rules to make receivers and stuff. You couldn't build your own gun from a what was it, polymer 80, those kits where you could buy and build a gun at home. And the ATF said you can't do that anymore. The Supreme Court agreed with them. How's that for you? And
seems crappy to me.
It does to me too. But in the big scheme of things, what you got to what is, it sounds like, I mean, it's shitty. But if President Trump and the DOJ do what they're talking about, those rules are going to be thrown out anyway. So what the decision the Supreme Court makes is going to be mute anyway, because the law's not going to be there anymore. So you can look at it that way. Yeah,
but to me, it just looks bad upon the Supreme Court, because we would like to think they would be making.
Yeah, to me, it's what they're saying is bureaucrats who are not voted in can make law. Congress is the only one that's allowed to do that, make law. But as I said, it's turning more to a bureaucratic state than ever.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, I don't know the whole gist of it, but I saw it announced today that 7-2 in favor of the ATF and their receivers and shit like that. Basically ghost guns or, build it, any kit. But what made it difficult is they're saying but not all. If it can be turned into a firearm in less than, say, an hour, I think it was an hour they specified, then the ATF rule stands. If you can build it with your tools out of your garage, you can't. The ATF rule stands. But if it takes longer to do that, and you need to buy specialized equipment to do it, then the ATF can't do anything to you. To me, this can get very confusing. So how do you know you're legal or you're not illegal? I can see a whole bunch of lawsuits coming out of this. But there we go. That's our system for you. But according to President Trump and Pam Bondi, all this should be taken care of in the but I don't know. But there we go. That's life for you. But here is the real big topic of the night. I think this one is going to take us to quitting time at 8:00. Question for you. You're walking out of Walmart. And as you're walking out of Walmart, you're walking towards your vehicle. And right there, the crowd has got their cameras out and they're taking videos and just standing there watching a big guy beating the shit out of a policewoman. And while he's beating the shit out of her and stuff, he's trying to grab her firearm. You, being a permit holder, carrying, do you step in? Or do you just carry on back to your vehicle and go on home? That's my question. Now, I was asked that question today. That's why I wrote it down. And I'm not overly keen on the police, right? But it's the only law we got. And whether you hate them or love them, I personally, this is my personal belief, that the police are between civilization and anarchy in human beings, us, is a very thin line. And I think people like the police are the ones that keep it there. Because if you didn't have somebody, I know they overstepped the mark and all this kind of stuff, but in principle, if they weren't there, all hell would break loose. I personally feel. So in the situation, if I walked out of Walmart and there's some guy beating the shit out of a policewoman, even a guy really, but and trying to grab the gun and stuff, I would intervene. Now, what my answer was, yes, I would intervene. Then they said, well, would you actually rush in there and try to pull him off? I said, no. I said I would shoot the son of a bitch. Right? And they said, would you give him warning? I had to think about that one. I might say, back off. And if the person doesn't back off, I said, I'm not no TV show. Keep telling the bad guy to back off, back up, put your gun down, put your gun down, put your gun down so many times. Then he turns around, shoots you, or he runs off. Back off. Doesn't do it, I shoot. He had his warning. That was my answer. So what's your answer?
Well, it's one of them things. You really don't know the situation. But with that being said, in that situation, I'm going to give law enforcement the benefit of the doubt. Plus, it's a female with this big ass guy. I'm probably going to run up and pretty much run up and take him down. I wouldn't pull my gun.
Well,
I would go up and put him, get him in a hold and bring him down, knowing that if it turned out to be a problem for me, the officer would hopefully back me up in that situation. But I don't, try to restrain him so she could get him cuffed.
Yeah.
Basically. Just because I don't want to sit there. I wouldn't want to, even if it wasn't a cop, like, if the guy's like truly battling it out with a chick like that. I mean, I don't know. There's a difference between some. I don't know. I'd probably have to do something. So
yeah. Well, why I said I would shoot him is I'm looking at at my age, my disabilities I have. I'm not as strong as I used to be. I'm not as steady on my feet. For me to go try to tackle him or take him down, I don't think I could do it. So that's why I said I would draw my firearm, tell him to back off, and if he doesn't, then I'll shoot.
Yeah, and a district attorney would probably look at you like in your area and come to that conclusion in a sense, where in my area, it would be a fight the whole damn way. And,
more likely in your area, if you pulled your firearm, shot the guy off the policewoman would stand up and arrest you for killing him.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. The struggle, and they pointed every training or anything I've ever done, and try to look like I've been itching for a reason, or I don't know.
Now,
so me, I would definitely go hands on. I mean, if he had her gun, was pulling it out, then that's a different story.
I understand, but that was my answer. But now I was also asked the second part of that: what happens if it was not a police person, but two guys fighting outside? I said I would just walk onto my vehicle. I wouldn't get involved because in that situation, I don't know which one's the good guy, which one's the bad guy. So I ain't going to shoot him. And since I'm not physically able to take anybody down anymore, You know, I wouldn't interfere unless the guy pulled a gun. You know what I'm saying? But if they were just fighting, who would you know was the bad guy?
Yeah.
If you just walked out and the fight's going on already.
Yeah. And technically, you're not a referee, so
That's right.
yeah, I'd just walk by. I mean, shit, I see fights outside on my street. I don't run out there and start screaming and waving a gun around and stop, shake hands, be nice.
Yeah.
Problem. Like, nah. I bitch and say, God damn it, I gotta go to sleep. It's supposed to be at work in the morning. We shut the hell up. Somebody get beat already. No.
I mean, if it was law enforcement and the law enforcement was getting beat up, then I more likely will step in. I.e., in my situation, I would shoot to get him off the policeman. So is that evil of me? I don't think so. I'm just thinking of my own physical limitations.
No, it's evil because I mean, like I said, he give law enforcement the benefit of the doubt, in that situation. Although, in all reality, she could be an evil bitch with a badge, just starting shit. And
that's one of the reasons I'm not over keen on policemen.
But
because nowadays it's about 50-50.
Yeah.
Between bad and good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. But at the same time, you don't want to see the lady get shot. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
And I honestly believe, as I was saying, there's a thin line, us as human beings, between being civil to each other and total anarchy.
Yeah.
It don't take much for us,
No.
I mean, even if the power goes out, your world comes to a stop. Shortage of food, shortage of gas, can't get hold of any money. Life's tough. It's amazing how people will turn vicious and mean. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of world it becomes.
Yeah, but I mean, and that's you're losing like everything, all services and whatnot. I don't know, and even then, there's gonna be people that'll band together in a sense. They wouldn't be chaos everywhere. I don't believe. I think there would be roaming chaos going around, basically like there is now, but on a bigger scale. I know for a fact there's towns that don't even have a police force.
Yeah,
their crime isn't any higher than.
I know where I'm here in this little place of Snellville, we got no police.
Yeah,
the state trooper drives down the road maybe once or twice a week.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's basically it. A couple places I know of where they'll drive through once a night, and if you keep your head down in the pool, they'll go right by.
But Tony said, look at the COVID toilet paper issue. That become people fighting over toilet paper during COVID. I remember seeing that on TV and shit. It don't take much. It don't take much for the human person to go animal.
Yeah.
Dog.
Over bread at a store here when we had floods. There was other stores still in town you could have got to, but people were fighting over the last loaves of bread.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It don't take much for the human being to,
But there's a lot of people that are got a better head on their shoulders than that. You know what I mean? So that's not all of society.
You got a lot of faith in society, ain't you?
Not, I don't know. Not as a whole. Well, I guess I probably guess I got more than you. I don't know. Yeah. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there would be a lot of horrible stuff going on. Don't get me wrong. But I also think there'd be a lot of people that stood together and prevented that type of stuff as well. So, Depending where you are, smaller towns would probably be a lot better than the bigger cities. Just look at the urban culture. I mean, people are killing each other now for $20. So, but it's not that way everywhere. That's the difference.
I don't know. So, since Tony's contributed into our chat here, what would you do, Tony, if the guy was beating up on the policewoman outside of Walmart? Would you jump in and help her, or would you just walk on by? So I'll see what Tony says here.
Tony be like, that's a bitch that gave me a ticket. I didn't see
Yeah. What's he saying? Oh, Tony said I answered that already. Did you? Yeah. Yeah. So, where'd he answer it? Oh, is it enough for society to be a real problem? Is that your answer you're talking about? Well, it is that way in cities. Huh. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe it's already gone past and I missed it. I ain't going to go back and look for it. Oh, here you go. I think they said Tactical Fudge said he would step in. Tony said he would step in. Yes, it had gone off the screen, Tony. Sorry about that. Yeah. So, see, there's more good people out there than we think there is. But I'm telling you, if it wasn't for, as I said, if it wasn't for that, I hate to say, I'm trying to make, when I say if it wasn't for the police, but maybe I was brought up in a different world to everybody. Back in my day, the police meant something, but now I don't have as much faith in humanity as you do, I'm afraid. If you had no police, all hell would break loose. Yes, I'm not saying there wouldn't be groups of people getting together to, protect other people and shit.
Oh, yeah. Lots of people would themselves. Cities would be chaos. I mean, like I said, I think there would be roaming trouble all over. I mean, every town's got their junkies and their bad people right now. That would get even worse and prey on easy victims.
Yeah, but exactly.
There would be family members that would put a boot in their ass, the victims.
Yeah. Because what I'm saying is the good guys or the normal people who, I wouldn't say the good guys, people who behave themselves right now, right? The only thing that keeps them on the right side of the law is knowing that they might get in trouble if they step over that line. But if there's no line to stop them, all hell is going to break loose.
In a way, you're talking about me, Rick. I mean, there can't be a week that goes by that I don't think about doing something criminal to somebody. They deserve it. That's the difference. You know what I mean? And somebody should teach them a lesson. But if I do, I lose my rights. I'm a bad guy. All this type of stuff. That's the way it is now. But if the law wasn't there to save them, oh, let me tell you.
Exactly. That's my point. See? And you're one of the good ones, and you think that way. So you imagine the bad ones. Oh, everybody for themselves.
So it'll kind of even out, and a lot of the druggies will kill themselves off or get shot trying to break into places and stuff. So, I mean, after a little bit, we might be better off. Not that I'm wanting anything bad to happen. I'm just saying, laws also protect a lot of people from people like me, probably from people like Tony. You know, I'm sure there's situations we've all sat there and was like, this son of a bitch, what I'd like. So, but is it worth your freedom, screwing up your family life, losing all your investments? No, it's probably not worth that.
Yeah, but if you didn't have that to stop you, to make you pause for a second, that's what I'm saying. The majority of people, they have that, it pauses them for a second. But if that wasn't there, shit, it's a free for all out there.
Yeah, in some ways, yeah. But again, it's not always necessarily a bad thing. I know it's all kumbaya, but there's a lot of shitty people that deserve some bad luck.
Yeah,
Not to judge the jury on that, but if our paths crossed and there was no laws and you were an asshole, depending on my day and mood, I might be that guy to teach you a lesson.
Yeah.
Just being honest. But legally, I don't do things like that. It may cross my mind. Like I won't even get into that.
But you can't be arrested for what's in your mind.
Right? Not yet.
Right now, anyway.
But give it a couple years.
There's been movies where you have been, So I agree. So, Tony York says he's a nice guy. He's one of the nice guys, So yeah, I don't know, but I mean that was the question Paul put to me today, and the person said, I said, well, how would you handle it? The person who asked me that, he said he would, if it was a female police officer, he would step in. But he said if it was a male officer, he said he would really have to think about it. I said, I'd more like you step in, whether it was female or male. If he was losing and the guy was going for his gun, and like both the policeman and the guys got the hand on their gun in their holster, trying to stop him from pulling it out. He's trying to pull it. I would step in. Like you said, you would take him down. I know my physical limitations. I know I couldn't do that. I'd give him a warning to back off. I would only give him one warning. I'm not a TV star. I'm not going to give him 5 or 6. One warning, back off. He doesn't back off, I pull the trigger. That's what, and I'm not out there. I'm not trying to kill him. I'm just stopping the threat. So there we go.
Let me give it. Maybe this will help your humanity. For the record, everybody knows I'm a cheap son of a bitch, right?
Oh God, yeah, we all know that.
Right. Well, today, and I'm ruining it now. To myself, I'm ruining it because I'm talking about it and sharing it, and I'll get to that point in a minute. But today I went out and did something I don't normally do, and I went to lunch. So,
wow.
Yeah, yep. so I'm a cheap son of a bitch. I don't eat lunch, but anyway, went out to lunch at a diner. Got a good deal. Whatever, was sitting there by the door. An old Air Force veteran comes in. I mean, this guy was old, man. Like, I was afraid the door closing was going to be enough to push the guy over. I was getting ready to jump up and catch him. That kind of old. Comes in, didn't even see me. I'm sitting right there, but didn't make no eye contact. Whatever. You can speculate whatever you want. Maybe he's old. He just doesn't see me. I don't know. Whatever. Tried to acknowledge the guy. Whatever. He walked by. Well, we're talking about humanity here, faith in humanity and stuff. So, I was sitting there eating and thinking, like, I bet you that guy got some crazy ass stories. I mean, he was in back when shit was real, before all the safety equipment and the rules, and they just grass and all types of, he was that's different times. Military's got different periods. Yeah, and here he is coming in, and so I don't know. When I paid my bill, I ended up throwing $20 to cover his bill in this diner, which I'm sure probably paid for his meal because that guy, if he ate a Pop-Tart, it'd probably be a minute. But
yeah.
So the point is, the guy completely overlooked me, but I still paid for his meal. You know what I mean? And didn't say something. It's just anonymous. The waitresses all thought it was the coolest thing and whatnot, blah, 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 whatever. No credit, just left. So some black guy he overlooked paid for his meal because of his service. So hopefully that gives you a little more faith in humanity. And I'm a cheap son of a bitch. Like,
I know.
I myself at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that should say something. And I'm not looking for credit or nothing.
No.
Trying to point out that sometimes things can surprise you. You know what I mean? So don't count humanity out in a sense as a whole. Not that I love people. I like certain individuals, but there's still a lot of good out there that doesn't get credit, doesn't get seen, things like this. So don't completely get all on the world. But the big thing, the point I said I'll get to is, when people do like what could be considered charity, it's really not. If you're running around and bring it up at every conversation and everywhere you go and all this type, then it's not really charity. You're doing it to make yourself seem better.
Yeah.
That's how ruining it.
Yeah, look at me. I pay for everybody's breakfast that comes in as a veteran or some shit.
Right.
Yeah,
like
I know what you're saying.
Anonymous, I'm not trying to, I was quiet with the lady. They made the big deal out of it, not me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. And if we weren't talking about this particular topic, you wouldn't even brought it up tonight.
Right. I mean, I can think of a bunch of stuff. I don't even remember half the stuff I do sometimes, and I'm a cheap son of a bitch. But still,
you are.
People should do those little things. I think those are things in some cases that changes somebody's day. I mean, even complimenting somebody at work on their sweater. That's it's okay, but they might just need a compliment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's little things out there we could do, and people do. Oh God, I said do, but it's not that kind of show. But you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
So don't give up, man. Don't give up. Even cheap bastards like me can surprise you.
Yeah, I even hold doors open for people.
Me too. Me too.
Even at my age, I'm the old guy, and I'll hold doors open for people. So. Oh yeah, I totally understand.
Thing to do. You know what I mean? If you're you're going to the gas station and somebody's right behind you, it's just a courtesy thing to do. Or you're sitting at a table and you see somebody really old coming to the door with a walker and struggling. Get off your ass, or a lady with a stroller. It doesn't matter, even if they don't appreciate it. You still did the right thing.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. So there we go. So do I have I guess you're right, but the
bad news makes good news gets its pants on.
But I understand what you're saying. And there is some good people out there. I'm not disputing that, but I still say the world will go to shit faster than you think it will, even with all the good people out there.
Yeah, it'll be bad. Don't get me wrong. I think it'd definitely be bad if something serious happened. But there would still be pockets of things that would be a Hallmark movie. Not necessarily go down like a Hallmark movie, but you'd get gushy over. People making sacrifices, people doing stuff, people looking out for the neighbors, people doing a lot of things that maybe they don't do now, but once they realize or see something. And that's one thing too. A lot of people really haven't really seen real violence. It's it might be different, if you grew up with it or around it and whatnot. But like they look at stuff and laugh when people get injured in certain situations, and we're all guilty of that in some senses. But they don't understand to have compassion because they've never really been in a situation like that or lost somebody similar ways. So things change when shit gets real. But like I said, it'd be a mashup.
Mm-hmm. You're right there. My God, hey, it's taking us to 8 o'clock, like I said this topic would. So we're at the end of our show, I'm afraid.
Did you eat a salad?
What?
Did you eat any salads this week?
Yes, actually, I had one. What's today? Wednesday. Last one I had, it was the beginning of the week. Sunday's the beginning of the week for me. Sunday was the last time I had one.
Oh boy! All right, you're gonna have to get another one or two in before the week's completely over.
Oh yeah. More likely have one. More likely get one tomorrow. I'll have one tomorrow or Friday.
The most important question: your son knows how to contact me about that 308, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Yeah.
And
all right, real quick, the quiz question for the drawing will be next Wednesday on the 2nd of April. What I wanted to know is what was the real original reason that daylight saving time was incorporated, invented, being used, whatever you want to call it. I want to know what the original, why it was originally created for. I got my answer from Google, so that's the answer I'm going with. Email me at rickslifeasiseeit@gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. Get it into me by next Wednesday lunchtime, and you'll be in for the drawing. So, there you go. So, that was that. Tony York said, salad is what my food eats. Yeah. No, I like salad,
Oh, it's good to hear his wife likes salad, too.
Oh, Gizzard Gary said, I'll even buy Rob dinner. And in his honor, I would pay cash and not use my debit card.
Shucks.
That was Gizzard Gary. Well, with that, the time is up, everybody. So I'm going to call it there. I appreciate you all joining me tonight. I really do. It's been great, as always. When I have topics and we have something to talk about, time goes by fast. And to me, it went by fast tonight. So I want to say thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate it. And I'll be back next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, the only time zone that matters. So I will see you all then. So good night, everybody. Good night, Sabrina.
Hasta luego.